Make sure that's working, Kevin.
Testing?
There you go.
All right.
And
I'm here representing my neighbors, Oak Tree Development. We were here a couple months ago regarding the land behind our homes being turned into affordable senior housing or low-income senior housing. And we have yet to be contacted to this date. Since it directly abuts our land, we would like to have a meeting between those parties interested in developing the land and ourselves to discuss what they're proposing. So I'm here asking that you can help facilitate that meeting between those organizations. I believe it's the Sayreville Housing Authority?
Correct.
Right.
Give us a couple of dates and locations that you'd like to have it. And did you forward that email to the Housing Authority, Terry? Were you able to?
Was talk of it going to the planning board, like that land for redevelopment?
Well, item number 2016-43, requesting the planning board to conduct a feasibility study to determine if the area of Ernston Rd identified by Sarah meets the criteria as an area in need of redevelopment.
So could we have our meeting before anything is done with that? Anything is forwarded to a planning board?
Yeah, well, you can, but it's up to the governing body. You may, but it's up to the governing body if you can. Steve, you're on your planning and zoning. Can you table this?
When would this appear on the planning board? Do you have any idea when this would appear on the planning board?
Can't hear you.
well, first of all, if I get the
From now, 6 months from now?
Well, that was my question to Terry.
Plus,
Yeah.
also, Mayor, if I may,
Go ahead.
I would recommend that they go to the planning board because it would get discussed in the planning board meeting as well and be put on record their disputes regarding that property, so they can add it onto that feasibility study.
I think that's why they're here, Dan, because they disagree with that. Now, from my experience on a redevelopment,
Along that path,
Well, let me ask Mr. Cornell, do you concur with my thoughts on this, that they should be having a discussion prior to this going to the planning board, and then we decide if there's merits to move on with a feasibility study?
Well, the planning board process does not select the use at this point. It just determines whether the property meets the criteria for redevelopment. And during the planning board process, there are a series of public hearings. So the planning board is going to be looking for your input before they take any action on the feasibility study.
so is that like a list of 10 things that make it redevelopable? Is there?
That's correct. Typically what will happen is the resolution will go to the planning board. The planning board will authorize their planner to go through and put together a report to examine all the criteria to see if this property meets the criteria for redevelopment.
Right.
There'll be public hearings. If the planning board recommends it be a property in need of redevelopment, it'll come back to the council for further review. If the council agrees, the step after that is to try to determine what type of uses can go on the property. So there's a lot of things that have to happen before it's decided senior housing is the appropriate use for that site.
Well, again, money to ask if it can be developed, and we all know it can be developed.
well, before we even get there, one of the things I said to the planning board's doctor when they came here, I said, have you talked to the area residents? And they did not. This has a bit of a push on it, which the redevelopment agent, beg your pardon, the housing authority, they're trying to meet a deadline, which if they don't meet it this year, they can meet it next year. But again, we're up here to do what the people of Sayreville want us to do, and you are the people of Sayreville, yourself and your neighbors, and I think everything begins with the governing body. I mean, we are the people that write the checks. Ultimately, we're the people that would decide whether something is going to be an area in need of redevelopment. So it all starts here and ends right here on this dais. And I agree with you that the right thing to do, the compassionate thing to do, if we're truly here to represent the people of Sayreville and not ourselves, is we would allow the residents of your neighborhood to find out what the proposal is to make a determination whether or not you think it fits in with your neighborhood. Before it goes any further, I don't see any reason why we need to do a simultaneous course of action where the planning board is working to see if it's in need of redevelopment, and at the same time the housing authority is meeting with the neighborhoods. What happens if you come to an impasse, as you said, if you spend X amount of dollars? I think the right way is to first find out if the neighborhood where this is going to be situated and it's going to alter the whole composition of the neighborhood essentially wants it.
That's all.
Kevin, other than the woods and the natural fauna and flora in your backyard, what else? What would you like to replace then?
I would like it to stay the way it is. I think there are, on almost a daily basis, monthly, weekly, and I'm sure that police have all kinds of statistics.
Is we would allow the residents of your neighborhood to find out what the proposal is to make a determination whether or not you think it fits in with your neighborhood. Before it goes any further, I don't see any reason why we need to do, Kevin, other than the woods and the natural fauna and flora in your backyard, what else? What would you like to replace then?
I would like it to stay the way it is. I think there are, on almost a daily basis, monthly, weekly, and I'm sure that police have all kinds of statistics about that, accidents right there and where the mini mall is, right down to my property. There was a car on my lawn a few weeks ago. It's a very busy area. A young man was killed on a motorcycle this past summer at that intersection. So to get in and out of that mini mall, whether it be
The people of Sayreville are not really keen on overdevelopment. But all that being said, the primary thing is, what do you, Don, you got to hold it down a minute. Barbara, Don, if you would, is what do the people that live in your neighborhood want? You know, if they're adamantly opposed to it, I can't imagine why we would insist and what justification we would have for developing Kevin, other than the woods and the natural fauna and flora in your backyard, what else? What would you like to replace then?
I would like it to stay the way it is. I think there are, on almost a daily,
if you would, is what do the people that live in your neighborhood want? You know, if they're adamantly opposed to it, I can't imagine why we would insist and what justification we would have for developing borough property in its natural state that's acted as a buffer for 55 years.
Mm-hmm. Well, I've said
that's really what we're talking about.
Right. I mean, I think maybe I've muddied the waters, and it wasn't intentional. I really want to have a discussion between the planning board, if that's what you say. The housing authority is what my thought was because of that proposal, but I would like to get my neighborhood and those involved to come and you know, you guys or whoever is listening can hear their concerns.
Dr. Kelly, so I think this is a bit of the discussion that you had 3 months ago, whenever it was that you did. It was a bit of a confusion in terms of process, right? So how did we get here? Being able to appear in front of the planning board, or as the mayor said, maybe reappear in front of Sarah. That gives you an opportunity to plead your case more effectively than if we sit here, because we're so early in the process. It's like trying to determine the winner of a baseball game in the first inning. We've just started the process, and you haven't had a chance to defend your position. And you may have a very meritorious position, and I understand what you're saying, right? You've got this beautiful open space next to you, and you don't want it changed. Okay, so let's have that discussion. I think it begins with discussing this with the housing authority and understanding that they're just one of many. So there's a process there. This needs to go in front of the council tonight.
That would be my opinion.
Right, right.
Well, there you go, Doctor. There's two opinions.
As we can. I think it's incumbent upon the governing body, before it goes anywhere, for us to listen to your neighborhood. Maybe the proper thing is for you to bring your neighbors here and let your neighbors talk to the governing body about what they would like done with this property. That would be my opinion.
Right, right.
Well, there you go, Doctor. There's two opinions. I happen to be the one with a master's degree in planning and has been working in the field for a decade. So the feasibility study, no, it's true. A feasibility study gets us to a point where we can make a decision. That's what this community planning process is based on. If you don't want to subscribe to that, and you prefer to go with what the mayor's saying, that's fine. I'm trying to give you the most option to have a presentation in front of the right people in the right process.
So the question is, does anyone want to make a motion to table this on the consent agenda? Not that we're voting on it, we're only discussing it. We'd have to wait till we get to... No, we could do it here.
Would it be better to do it during the consent agenda, Mayor, since there'd be...
All right, we've done it out of sequence before. Is there a motion to table 2016-43?
Can I interrupt you for 1 second? Did you want to hear from any of the other neighbors?
Well, certainly. Well, we have a motion made and seconded.
Okay.
Is there a second?
I wasn't clear on the motion, Mayor. And there was
Motion to table 2016-43 is we would allow the residents of your neighborhood to find out what the proposal is to make a determination whether or not you think it fits in with your neighborhood. Before it goes any further, I don't see any reason why we need to do a simultaneous course of action where the planning board is working. We've done it out of sequence before. Is there a motion to table 2016-43?
Can I interrupt you for 1 second? Did you want to hear from any of the other
Well,
neighbors?
certainly. Well, we have a motion made and seconded.
Okay.
Your second.
Is there a
I
second?
wasn't clear on the motion, Mayor. And there was
Motion to table 2016- is we would allow the residents of your neighborhood to find out what the proposal is to make a determination whether or not you think it fits in with your neighborhood. Before it goes any further, I don't see any reason why we need to do a simultaneous course of action where the planning board is working to see if it's in need. We've done it out of sequence before. Is there a motion to table 2016-43?
Can I interrupt you for 1 second? Did you want to hear from any of the other
Well,
neighbors?
certainly. Well, we have a motion made and seconded.
Okay.
your second.
Is there a
I
second?
wasn't clear on the motion, Mayor. And there was
Motion to table 2016-43, motion made by Councilman Rittenhouse, seconded by Councilman Lembo. Can we have a roll call?
Councilpersons Buchanan,
Mayor, I'm going to vote no. I believe that the better option would be to go to the consent agenda so that everyone have an opportunity to speak on this.
Grillo,
No.
Kilpatrick,
No, for the same reasons that Mr. Buchanan had stated.
Lembo,
Yes.
Novak,
I'm going to vote no. I believe in the process, and I also believe in the way the meeting should be held. Everybody should have an opportunity to speak.
Are there more people from your neighborhood here, Dr. Keller?
Councilman Rittenhouse,
Oh, I'm sorry.
Councilman Rittenhouse,
Voting to table.
okay, Mayor,
4-2, right?
that's correct.
Okay. Are there other people from your neighborhood
There are.
who wish to speak? If you'd bring... Who else from that neighborhood would like to